gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's July the 18th, 2022. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, flying solo today as we discuss the news of the day, presented as always by LifeWallet, where the time is now to take charge of your personal health. And I'm going to pretend that the fake Matt Shodell is here with me to help me through this, because we have a lot of news of the day to touch on this morning. Probably won't be quite as long a show as usual because I'm doing it myself. But I did think that at least we could have a show and talk about some of these things that went on over the weekend, some of the other things that we have on the website today, because it's all like really interesting stuff. All right, let me start off with something that we decided to take on here in the last week or so, which it turned out to be a kind of cool idea, and it's an interesting story. And we did an analysis, offense and defense, of what Mario Cristobal left behind at Oregon and what he will take into this season at the U. And it was cool. And I'm not going to give too much of it away, which team is more stacked with talent. But today we bring you the offensive analysis, and then I think it's probably tomorrow we'll bring you the defensive analysis, and you guys can kind of compare Mario's team here at Miami this year with what he left behind at Oregon. And I can tell you in advance that Oregon feels very strongly that they are going to have a very good team this year, a team that will certainly contend for the Pac title, and a team that coming out of last year, they were not unconvinced, couldn't contend for the college football playoff this year. But you'll get to know them a little bit better, and you can judge for yourself. But that's an interesting story that we bring you today. We also are up to number 14 in our CaneSport Player Performance Index, and today number 14 is Mitchell Agood, and he's the guy. We ranked him number 14. I mean, mostly just because we haven't seen him as a Miami Hurricane, but this is a guy that we think could really have a huge season for the Canes this year. We think he's going to start at defensive end. We think he's going to be a strong pass rusher. We like his size. We think he can be, that two-way defensive end that you want, that can defend the run and the pass, maybe even slide inside potentially at times on third downs if you want to bring in like a Jafari Harvey or a Moss or a Nigel E. Kelly, guys, young guys that are flashing in practice. If you want to give them a look as pass rushers to see what they're capable of doing at this early stage of their career, maybe because Mitchell Agood is a little older and more physically developed, you can consider rolling him inside, kind of like how they did with Gregory Rousseau here at Miami. So a lot of different options on defense that are created by Mitchell Agood's presence, and we break him down today as the next member of our CaneSport Player Performance Index. All right, so many other stories for me to touch on. First, I'll talk about the football stories, and then I'll get to the recruiting stories. There was the Under Armour Future 50 this past weekend. We had a whole team of people there who had lots of different levels of coverage. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. But first, let me talk about some of the football stories. And the first one is a CaneSport on 3 feature. Will the Miami Hurricanes have a defensive lineman with double-digit sacks? And this one's an interesting subject because, you've got guys that appear like they're going to be decent pass rushers. You got Messador coming from West Virginia. You got Agood, as we talked about. Jafari Harvey is one that had a really good spring practice. And then you've got the young kids, like I talked about, Moss and Kelly. And, so Miami has the potential to have a decent pass rush. The question is, do they have the potential to have a double-digit sack guy? And that's harder to attain than you might think. And you're going to learn some things, I think, when you look at that story. We talk about all that. And, you would think you play 12 football games. It's not that hard to get double-digit sacks, but it really is very difficult to get double-digit sacks. Individually, they maybe have guys that if they were going to get the number of reps, might be able to get to that point, but there's going to be a lot of rotation on the defensive line. So it's a great debate. Will the Canes have a defensive lineman with double-digit sacks? And we get into that today. Talking about the CaneSport Player Performance Index over the weekend, obviously we have number 14 today, a good. We had number 15 and number 16. Number 15 was Akeem Messidor, who we think is going to be the other starter at defensive end. And number 16 was Jared Harrison Hunt, who will be fighting for his place in the rotation at defensive tackle. And obviously he hopes to make his way into the starting lineup. So you put all that together, you read all of those, 14, 15, 16, Agud, Messidor, Harrison Hunt. You should walk away with a little bit of a good feel for what's going on the defensive line, what the competition might look like in fall camp, and hope you guys enjoy that one. We also have a guy named J.D. Piquel, who we're trying to feature on the website on a more regular basis. He's a talented new broadcast member of the On3 team. And JD's a guy that, I'll tell you a funny story. I found JD Piquel probably about 6 months ago before he even was hired by On3, and we were still at Rivals. And, I was looking for new talent to enhance our content and increase our content, as you've seen us do since our move to On3. And I arranged with JD, hey, I want you to produce videos for our website. And we agreed, and he was going to do it. And, then in the meantime, a couple months ago, he got this great opportunity to move to Nashville and become part of On3. And so now he's with On3. He's doing videos on all teams around the country, including several on Miami, and we feature a couple of them on the website today. You are going to really like this guy. J.D. Piquel is going to be a superstar in this business. You'll see the level of his talent when you watch his videos, and I hope you enjoy. We've got a couple of them on the site today. Can the Canes make noise in 2022? And then we have another one where J.D. breaks down the new offense at Miami. Wow.
I will be your shield in the fiercest battle. I'll defend you.
Yeah.
Hey, my name is Cleveland Reed, and I play offensive line, and my job is to protect. I protect my family with Life Wallet. How about you?
Of course I got Life Wallet. It's the best way to protect my family.
Long as we go together, we'll die, we'll never be a light. Couldn't let the darkness try you ever. Truth in my word, you I lie to never.
To protect you and your family, get Life Wallet now.
Life Wallet. Saving time, saving lives.
Let's start with the recruiting stories that are on the website this morning. And one of them that I felt was really, really interesting was why Miami is so active in Georgia. And, you don't really think about it, but when the Hurricanes began this cycle of recruiting, they had, I would say, probably 20, if I'm going on memory, but about 25 targets in the state of Georgia. And, people have been commenting on the message boards that a lot of this recruiting class is coming together from kids outside the state of Miami, outside the 305, 954, 561. And Georgia is a state that has really been on the rise in football recruiting over the past several years. And, we've seen Miami dipping in to Georgia from time to time. And, they just got a commitment from the state of Georgia, Popo Aguirre. But there's a reason and there's a method behind the madness. And that's what we look at today in this story about why Miami is so active in Georgia. And when you take a deep dive, you find that Georgia is right there with Florida, California, and Texas as a state in the country with the most college prospects. And it's slowly been improving through the years. We take a look why. You'll see that in the story. The coaching has been getting better. The commitment to high school football in the state has been getting better. They're paying their high school coaches more. They're getting better high school coaches. And it all kind of feeds into each other. Really, I mean, because kids at that age, the coaching that they get is a big deal. And you can have athletic ability, but if you're not being taught the proper techniques, if you're not playing a reasonable level of football, you're not going to get the same college opportunities as a kid in Florida or a kid in Texas or a kid in California. So Georgia's been making this big move forward. And we found when we did this deep look that they've actually caught California, and they're not far behind Texas and Florida. And the Hurricanes have obviously seen this trend and are doing an enormous amount of recruiting, continue to do a lot of recruiting in the state of Georgia. So I think you guys will find that story to be real interesting. We have a couple stories on the website on 2024 five-star DB, Desmond Ricks. He's a really talented kid. He's right now the number 2 ranked player in the class of 2024. And Miami's doing a great job of recruiting him. The Canes are very high on his radar here as he enters this stage of his life with recruiting. So we had a story with him before the Future 50 where he talked to us about the genuine nature of the coaches that he's finding at Miami, with how his 7-on-7 teammates from the Immortals team down here in South Florida have been helping the Canes, and the fact that they're committed to Miami, and they're kind of been working him a little bit to get him interested in Miami. And then we talked to him at the Future 50, which was a few days after that initial interview, and he reveals to us that the Miami Hurricanes are already in his top 3 and are going to be in his top 3. So that's a great development for Miami. So we have a couple different stories with Desmond Ricks from the last few days. We also had a story at the Future 50 with Ola Salonen. He's the big Finnish offensive lineman. I don't mean finished. I mean he's from Finland. And he is weighing Miami and Alabama for his decision. And he said that taking a step back and being able to just take it all in and talk about it with his family has helped him gain clarity into what he is going to do. And sounded to us like he has made a final decision, and we've got a story on that on the website today as well. Okay, also at the Future 50, we spoke to another DB, Jonel Aguero, who had revealed to us that he has made his commit decision, and he'll be announcing it soon as well. We think we know it's between Miami and Georgia, but there's a lot of assumptions out there that it's going to be Georgia. And I think a lot of the national recruiting analysts and stuff are thinking he's going to Georgia. We have acceptance of that, but I have a feeling that Miami's doing a little bit better in that race than people believe. And I think the Canes are going to be right in this one, and are right in this one. And in fact, I think I put in a prediction in the recruiting prediction machine, for Aguero to go to Miami. So, we'll see what happens if I'm right. I haven't been wrong on one of them yet, which is amazing. But we'll see what happens on that one. I think Miami is doing better with Aguero than most people want to believe. We have a story with 4-star local linebacker TJ Capers. He's been a regular presence at the University of Miami, and he's feeling a bond with Cristobal in the program. So you can catch up with that one. A story on several other 2024 prospects in early discussions with each other to be potential college teammates. We're talking about guys like Josiah Trader, JJ Smith, some of the guys that are going to be the top players in the 2024 class, and already building a bond with each other and discussing the possibility of playing together in college. One of our better stories of the weekend was Zuby Charles, the newest member of our team, got to sit down and spend an extended period of time with Francis Mauigoa at the Future 50, and just a great interview. And you just see what a great kid this guy is, and how all in he is with the Canes. That's what he basically told us. He's all in, and just had so many great things to say, and delivered his words with great eloquence. And I think you guys will really like Francis Mauigoa once you get to know him a little bit better through this story, through this video. And we recommend that you guys take a look at that story. All right, a couple other things that happened this weekend that I wanted to talk about real quickly is Charlie Moore. He was only a Miami point guard for 1 year, and probably was a little taken for granted because, when you're only in a school for a few months, the fans don't really get to build an emotional relationship with you. And so he kind of was probably, those of you that like basketball, was a player that you watched. But he had an amazing game the other day for the Detroit Pistons. He had 21 points, 8 assists, 5 rebounds, and 2 steals in Detroit's Summer League game out in Vegas. And Charlie Moore's doing really well. And then if he keeps playing like that, he's going to have a chance to make that roster. I'll tell you, because he's showing that he has some playmaking skills that we saw a little bit at Miami. But, I think with the higher level of, and, this isn't diminishing any of the guys that were on the team last year, but when you're playing with guys that are all like ready to be pros, the skill level out there is better. And Charlie Moore is just thriving in that environment as a playmaker for the Detroit Pistons Summer League team. All right, I think that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. Thank you so much, as always, for starting your morning out with us. Matt's going to be traveling this week. I'm not going to do all these shows by myself this week. I'm going to try to bring some guests on. We'll have Roy Firestone back, I'm sure, later in the week to talk about our next Goats feature. I believe we'll have some other special guests this week as well. But today we had so much, so I thought it would be fine for me to just give you this little teaser into what's on the website, and now you can go enjoy it for yourself. So thank you again for starting your day with us, and I hope you have a great one, and we'll see you next time, everybody.